And now to our first conversation. Inflation remains the major talking point as central bankers continue to battle to rein in inflation. Emerging economy central bankers are also hiking rates aggressively. Let's talk now to Mr. Shola Obadimu now, the DG, Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, joining us right here in the studio. Great to have you.
Thank you very much, Ladi.
And I'm guessing congratulations are in order with your appointment as DG. That was last month, I believe.
That was last month, yes.
Congratulations. Great to have you. So, you've been quite vocal, about the rate hikes, in Nigeria. The last one was 150 basis points. But it seems you don't believe rate hikes are what we need right now.
You see, it's better you treat diseases rather than treat symptoms. And you see, all these actions you've been taking of late is like treating the symptoms, using Panadol to treat malaria. It doesn't quite work out that way. And one of the things you sent to me yesterday had to do about this stagflation thing that I mentioned. You see, when you have a combination of persistent high inflation, right, and then high unemployment, however, there is a stagnation in demand level. People's purchasing power is not really improving. There are cries for wage increases left, right, and center. But even that is not a solution to the problem of purchasing power in itself. It's usually a short-term solution. You do that while you are working hard at solving the deep-rooted problems that you have. So when you think, and it hasn't worked, increment in rates hasn't worked. We've seen it.
You don't think it needs some time to actually, permeate through the economy?
There are things you do while you are still working to solve deeper problems. So the deep-rooted problems we are not addressing. Why do we have this kind of situation in which we have gotten ourselves into, for instance? Nobody is talking about that. And when you raise rates, it's usually, for example, for businesses, for instance, who have to source for loans, money. Cost of money now, openly in the banking system, is about between maybe 20 to 25%. But if you put money into the banking system, you get about 2%, 3%. So the disparity in rates, it's abnormal. It doesn't happen in a healthy economy. So, but that is not really the only issue. We also have high disparities in other areas. Foreign exchange rates, for instance. How much is a naira worth? Nobody really knows. If somebody is going to invest in this economy, he wants to know how much a naira is worth in dollar terms.
We have the official window.
You have the official window. But, you've got to... Why can't we harmonize the rates and have something that people outside can look at and say, what's the point in having a rate that everybody cannot have access to? They say a law that is not likely to be obeyed is as good as no law. So a rate that is not accessible to everyone is not really a fair rate, I don't think. So these are the issues that need to be addressed. And until we solve the deep-rooted problems, yes, people angling for wage increases and so on, they will get something. But if you take the time it takes you to negotiate to get a wage increase, if you compare it with your prices at the beginning of your struggle to the prices at the end of your struggle, at the end of the day, if you net it out, I'm not sure you really have any raise at the end of the day.
Right. And looking at, let's go back to the rate hikes. Now, even central bankers globally, they seem to be, scratching their head right now on how to also, battle inflation in their countries. But we're seeing them, hiking rates, aggressively. And some quarters have said if we do not, also match, the rate hikes here, that would, impact the investment coming into the country. So it looks like the CBN is in a tight corner.
I don't really believe so. I was with some foreign envoys yesterday, and their own concerns were quite different. They were worried more about, about knowing the true value of the naira, and then the ability to repatriate funds by companies who are putting money into this system. So those are the key issues for them. Of course, added to the issue of infrastructure and insecurity that we have been battling for so long. So those are the key issues. Not, the government has to deal with the two key issues. the issues that are likely to bring investments in, both internally and externally. Because people who have money within this system, are they keen to invest inside this system? They are taking monies out. That is a problem in itself. If our own compatriots are taking money out and we expect external people to bring money in, does it make sense to you? So these are the issues. It is when outsiders see that people who have money here are willing to put their money inside the system, it encourages them also to bring their money in. You understand what I'm saying now? So we should address that situation that will encourage people to put money into this system. And then, of course, issues that will not aggravate or increase the cost of doing business, you know. And that's why we come to infrastructure and insecurity.
Right.
Where, if those ones are not there, it increases your cost of doing business. But if things are more transparent, and then we're able to, you know, look at these issues all over again, people will have more confidence in the system. And of course, there are other issues like the rule of law, the justice system, if you are unfairly treated, something you can resort to and get some sense of fair treatment.
Right.
So those are the things that external people, foreigners, look at.
But what would you like to see, you know, from the MPC come the next meeting? What kind of policies would you like to hear from them?
I don't know how they want to address the system, I mean the situation, but I know they are worried too.
Yeah.
Only maybe they haven't found a solution yet. But you see, the fillers, they are not going to manufacture things themselves. They are getting fillers from outside, and these are the things they will take into consideration to make whatever decision they want to make. They are only responding to situation. And that's the reason why otherwise we will keep on hiking these rates and they keep on going up. And then where does it
Because
end?
I try to imagine, you know, hypothetically, let's say inflation doesn't peak at some point and it keeps going up. Do we keep raising rates?
There is no law that says it should peak at a point. Otherwise, you end up as a Zimbabwean model. Yeah, because, you know, they were also hoping. You cannot hope to solve this kind of problem. You have to work at it. Otherwise, your currency becomes useless. We saw it in Zimbabwe. We saw what happened in Ghana. And they had to redenominate, if you recall. So if we want to go that route, and we've seen instances of people pushing wheelbarrows of currencies to parties to spray.
Right.
That does
Quite
not
a
show,
horrible sight.
I mean, that does not show a sane system, you know. So when you have a currency that attracts no respect, it's a disrespect to the economy itself.
Anyway, well, elections are coming up and we're having a new government, you know, come next year. What would you like to see?
I want to see a change in thinking. What I've seen in this country is that once election holds and people get into office, they start thinking of the next one. And that's the key problem. That's the underbelly of the system. So nobody is thinking of development. Nobody is thinking of, you know, private sector growth, employment. Nobody's infrastructure. So many situations to battle with. Instead, our politicians, with due respect, they start thinking of the next election. We saw it in 2015. We saw it in 2019. And elections are not an end in itself. It's supposed to be a means to an end. What is the end? Development. If we don't have that, then the essence of democracy is lost.
Right, and I got that report from the World Bank talking about they cut the growth forecast for Nigeria, brought it down even lower. How do you see that?
They are being realistic. All the indices, they show, you know, an encouraging sign. Again, all our activities, they seem to be tailored towards the upcoming elections.
It's all about the elections.
It's all about the elections. Everything is in abeyance now, so to say. So when you have that kind of situation, the World Bank, all these people, they look at the indices and the forecast has to be that. Otherwise, they are being unrealistic.
They look into the future and they can already tell what was the possibilities are this time. And I'm also seeing another report from the Global Innovation Index for 2022. And I saw that Nigeria sits about 114 points in the global ranking. And in sub-Saharan Africa, we're like 13th. and we have the likes of Botswana, South Africa, leading. And I'm wondering, what can we learn from those countries?
Let me tell you something. At least I know a bit about South Africans' economy. They try and do some planning, for God's sake. They have some short-term plans, they have some long-term plans. It may not work out the way they want it, it may not be perfect, but at least they have it on paper. But we can see some aspects of the economy that are really working out. There are some synergistics in their planning, in their implementation of their plans. For example, you see Stanbic all over Africa. Stanbic is present in most countries in Africa. MultiChoice is present in most countries in Africa. MTN is, so they see Africa as a market. And all these organizations, with the backing of the government, they have inroads into the African market on a logical note. We have none of that. There are rumors that the Federal Ministry of Finance is planning a 2023 budget without any allocation, possibly, for capital expenditure. How does that work out? And of course, when there are rumors that 6.7 trillion is supposed to be allocated for fuel subsidy, and then you have debt servicing, if your whole budget is consumed by whatever is going to debt servicing and all subsidy, then you have an empty economy.
Right.
So what do you hope to get out of that?
The subsidy debate keeps raging on at this point.
So without any input in capital expenditure, where are you going to?
Anyway, so much going on right now. And I'm sure, manufacturers, business owners are going through a lot, at this time. But what can we expect, from NACIMA going forward? We
keep arguing for government to take note of factors that will ease doing business, that will encourage people to invest their money, both Nigerians and non-Nigerians. And that's why I've spoken about my conversation with some envoys yesterday, the areas of concern. So I think, like I said, let's think less of elections on this 4-yearly basis. And the administration in power, either now or next, should also think more of the development of Nigeria on a continual note, not just focusing on a 4-year tenure and see how that benefits your party or your individual interests. Let's think more of the coming generations.
More of the coming generations and Nigeria first, I believe.
Yeah, Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shola Badimu. DG NACIMA, it was great having your perspective on the program today.
Thank you so much.
And congrats again. Well.